Hey guys, and welcome to the video on the Lemuria set. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at the pros and cons of the Lemuria set, and whether or not it's worth it to buy the Lemuria set in Black Desert. So to start off with, what is the Lemuria set? Well, the Lemuria set, also known as the Leverto set, is the blue armor set in Black Desert. It acts as a sort of transition gear between green armor and boss armor. So if I just open up the marketplace here, this is the Lemuria set. So the Lemuria set is basically a sort of inferior version of boss armor. Each of the items in the set has the same passives as a piece of boss armor. The shoes give extra evasion, same as Muskins. The helmet gives extra health, same as Giaths. The gloves give extra accuracy, same as Begs. And the armor gives extra resource management, so mana, WP, or SP, same as Dimtree. Now, each of them is a little worse than their corresponding boss armor. You can see that the gloves, for example, compared to Begs, you get 1 less DP, and you get 12 less accuracy, which is a little significant, seeing as accuracy is the entire reason you get Begs for. For the shoes, you get less DP, you get very similar evasion, because these are the same as Muskins, they do not correspond to Uragons, and you get the exact same amount of damage reduction. The set passives for Lemuria are quite a bit better than the set passives for green armor. Green armor set passives such as Grunwald Heavy usually give AP or HP. For the Lemuria set, you get movement speed plus 1, critical hit plus 1 for the 2 set effect. The 3 set effect gives you skill experience plus 10%. And the 4 set effect gives attack speed and cast speed plus 2. This means that if you combine this with a Leverto, you can get plus 4 to critical hit, which is a pretty nice bonus to have. And the Lemuria set does combine with Leverto. As you can see in the set description, it's a special armor gear inspired by the armor of Leverto himself. So despite it being called Lemuria, it does actually combine for the set effect with Leverto items. So here you can see Leverto, you get extra damage all species, extra AP, and critical hit plus 3. So how good is the Lemuria set? Well, the pros of the Lemuria set are that it has extra DP compared to green gear. Lemuria items have more DP than corresponding green gear at the same tier. So a Tri-Lemuria has 5 extra DP compared to an Ultimate Grunwald. Now that's not the same for each different enhancement tier, but it's pretty consistent that each different piece of Lemuria will be better than an equivalent piece of green gear that's been ulted. The other pro to the Lemuria set is its set effects. Its set effects are pretty good. You can pretty much max out on critical hit using Lemuria set with Leverto. Skill experience plus 10% it's not a lot, but it's enough that it will aid you in gaining skill points if you're farming for a long period of time with Lemuria armor. The 4 set effect, which is attack speed plus 2 or cast speed plus 2, allows you to max out on attack speed or cast speed if you have a Zarka instead of Leverto. And you don't need a Leverto with Lemuria because it's a 4 set effect, which means if you have full Lemuria, you do not need to use a Leverto to obtain the final set effects. So you can max out your cast or attack speed as long as you're using a Zarka with Lemuria armor. Now, the biggest negative to the Lemuria set is the empty slot that you can see here. You only get 1 magic crystal slot for Lemuria armor. This is true for all pieces, so gloves, helmet, shoes, and armor. Each of them only has 1 magic crystal slot. And magic crystal slots are a large part of the power that a piece of gear has. Magic crystal slots allow you to personalize your playstyle. They allow you to increase your power fairly significantly, especially in PvP. And they really are very powerful. If you lose out on 4 magic crystal slots because you've got Lemuria armor instead of Grunwald, for example, because Grunwald does have 2 magic crystal slots, same as Heavy, same with boss gear, then you are missing out on a significant chunk of resistances, bonus attack speed, cast speed, critical hit, whatever it is that you would have gained from those crystals, you are now missing out on. So the Lemuria set, the other big con is that it is blue, and as such, repairing it and enhancing it is much more difficult than repairing green armor. It's not as difficult to repair as boss gear, but it's still not easy to repair. What you really want to do is repair it using items of the same type. So if you had a Lemoria gloves, you would buy yourself another Lemoria glove and use an artisan memory to repair it. You don't even need to use artisan memory, you can just buy them straight and it'll be fairly similar to repairing with memory fragments. But upgrading Lemoria set is not easy, and as you can see, not very many Lemoria items have ever been sold. Despite Lemoria set having existed since late 2017, only a few hundred have been sold at Try, barely more than a total of like 5 dozen, around 5 dozen, 5-6 dozen, have been sold at Tet, and even Duo doesn't have that many sold. So if you want Lemoria armor, you're probably going to either have to buy it yourself or put a notice on it and hope that you get it. The price for Lemoria is fairly decent though. At only 160 million for a Try, Lemoria armor is only just a little under double the price of an ultimate piece of gear at Try for green gear. So it's not actually that pricey. It's pretty cheap, and it does offer a fairly nice boost to your renown score. If we compare Lemoria armor to green armor, the same type, so example, Lemoria gloves give 49 DP, and a Try ultimate would give 54, so gloves is actually a pretty bad example. But Try ultimate shoes, let's look for Grunnel, because Grunnel is probably the one you'd want to buy for the most part. So Try ultimate Grunnel shoes give 54 DP. Try Lemoria gives 66, so you're getting 12 DP if you get Lemoria shoes. So overall, you're going to see a fairly significant boost in your DP, which means you're going to see a fairly significant boost in your renown score. And because of how important renown score is, boosting renown score as much as possible is not a bad idea. Now, if you're willing to give up the magic crystal slots and you can snipe Lemoria set, I would say it's not a bad idea if you're trying to upgrade from green gear to boss gear and you don't have the money to buy good boss gear, or you've just been unlucky. However, for certain items in the Lemoria set, boss gear is just significantly better. And by certain items, I really mean Beg's gloves. Beg's gloves actually have lower DP than an ultimate version at the same DP, as we just saw with the Try Grunnel. 50 DP as opposed to 54 DP for ultimate Try Grunnel. The big advantage is the accuracy, and losing 12 accuracy is actually fairly significant. In addition to the fact that glove slots also usually give you accuracy in the magic crystals, as you can see from my Bond Viper and my Black Magic Crystal Precision that I'm using. You're going to be losing it on a minimum of about 8 accuracy, and probably much more if you had the money to get yourself Bond or even Jin Vipers. If you could put a second Jin Viper into your Beg's gloves, that would be an extra 20 accuracy you're missing out on from Lemoria, before even taking account into the other 12 that you're missing out on because Begs are just better than Lemoria. So the Lemoria set, my kind of overall evaluation for it is it's a good set, but similar to Laverto, it kind of lacks because it's just expensive enough that you kind of want to upgrade to the boss gear equivalent, as you don't want to spend all that money on Lemoria or Laverto and then have to sell it, lose some money, and then recoup the costs by having to buy boss gear again. In the end, Lemoria set, it's okay. If you have Lemoria set, don't feel bad. It's a decent set, but the loss of the second magic crystal slot and the fact that for the most part boss gear is fairly easy to obtain, with the exception of the armor piece, means that Lemoria isn't a great substitute for proper boss armor. In addition, because the shoes are a Muskin's equivalent and not an Uragon's equivalent, Muskins are currently really easy to get on most servers. Muskins go up all the time and stay into the buy phase, both at Try and Tet, which means the Lemoria, which is just a worse Muskins, you should just save up a few extra million for a few hundred extra million for a version of the real deal, the Muskin shoes themselves. So Lemuria, pretty much summarized, is okay. It will give you extra renown score. It will stimulate boss gear, but you're missing out on that second magic crystal slot, which is really crucial to your overall power level in PvP. And it is over double the price, or just under double the price for some pieces, of green gear of an equivalent level. And that extra money could be spent simply upgrading boss gear. Now, if you intend to go all the way to like Tet or even Pen for Lemuria, it will be much easier to do so with Lemuria than boss gear, because a piece of an artisan's memory that has been, so if I open up the cash shop here, an artisan's memory that's used with a Lemuria will give you 40 durability back for only 3 million plus the cost of the artisan's memory itself, which means 2 artisan's memories and 2 Lemuria items, so about 7 million depending on the piece, lets you pretty much max out the durability again once you've cratered it trying to enhance it. It will still cost you a lot of normal enhancement materials, but it won't cost you any memory fragments, which are often the sort of big roadblock in the way to upgrading boss gear. So if you're really desperate to get a high renown score and kind of simulate having boss gear in terms of stats, just without the second magic crystal slot, Lemuria Set is pretty good for that. But for most players, I would simply recommend saving up money and either pre-ordering or buying and enhancing yourself proper boss gear for most slots. The only exception is for the armor piece. Armor crystals aren't actually as good as crystals for the other slots, such as the gloves or the weapons. So because one of the big reasons that the dim tree is so good is the fact that it gives extra MP, or even better for some classes, WP, getting the Lemuria set, which has the exact same effect, so if I go here, which is max MP, WP, or SP plus 100, and Lemuria has that exact same effect, max MP, WP, SP plus 100, the Lemuria armor can act as a sort of ghetto version of dim tree armor. I actually have a notification on a Tet version of Lemuria armor, I believe anyways. Yep. Just because it is a significant boost over Tri or even Tet green armor, and that second crystal slot on armor isn't as impactful for an armor piece as it is for your glove slot, your boot slot, or your weapon slots. Anyways, guys, that's kind of my review on the Lemuria set. If you want, you can go for Lemuria set. It's a good set. It's a lot better for your player than the Leverto weapon is, but for most players, I would still recommend getting boss gear over the Lemuria set, as Lemuria set just isn't good enough to justify jumping from green gear to Lemuria between boss gear itself. Anyways, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you liked it. Leave a comment below if you use Lemuria set and find it's much better than I personally think. I've never used it myself. And yeah, have a good one, guys.